Very much for being with me.
Yeah, so I looked at your website. Your website's very impressive. So what
Thank
do you
you.
got? Like a 5,000 people in your company, and
No. We are just a small company. We're based in Italy, and we created this methodology that I produce. It's called Lean Presentation Design. And I took the first book that I read. It was, and I still have it. The original version I have is a book that you should probably know.
oh, I've seen it before. That's the second edition. Yeah.
That is the second edition. Yes, I got it when I used to work in a for a company. I was to work for a multinational company in marketing, and I realized that basically everybody spends like all day making presentations, and you have no time. You have to make them effective because they impact on decision. And therefore, I got so passionate about this. I said, okay, I have to start from the best book I can find, and I have to learn everything I can about this topic. And the first book was Presentation Zen. I got so inspired by this concept of Zen simplicity because this was really needed.
Yeah, I mean the simplicity is the key thing is that simple isn't easy. So sometimes, well, software companies try to sell the idea to make it easy for you, but in some of the Zen arts that I've studied, like Sumie or the tea ceremony, it's called Sado. It's never about making things easy for the creator. I mean, it's hard to be simple, but we want to make it simple for the audience, and that's true with customers too, and communications or any kind of whatever the product. It's hard to make good products or services, but we want to make things easy for the customer. It's easy to be complicated in communications too. If you just wing it, for example, or if you just throw everything in, including the kitchen sink. We do that in Japan a lot. We say nen no tameni, which is just, well, to be safe, just to be safe, let's put more information in the slide, and just becomes a mess. So it takes courage to be simple, to leave out what you think is not necessary in the moment.
It does take courage to be simple, I think, especially when you face an audience and you might not remember. Well, you fear maybe you will go blackout during the presentation. You might not know what you're going to have to say, and therefore people say, okay, I will put everything so I can read. But then we say, okay, we don't want people to read, and then we shouldn't be reading in front of our audiences, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I started this. I mean, after I left Apple, then, I mean, I left to become a college professor. So there I'm lecturing. And I did kind of start with simple, but, beautiful slides, the Apple way, but probably more bullet points than I would ever use. But eventually I got rid of that because, well, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to forget. That's just another slide with a key point on the slide. Whatever, I don't need, because I can just see eyes glaze over. And that was the worst part of a Steve Jobs presentation too, back in the day. If he would do a slide with like 6 key points, like a summary, where he'd have 6 bullets, and that was like the lowest part. It was like, okay, we don't need that. So, but I use lots of data, data visualization in presentations, and that's never boring.
Yes, please go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just that, especially over here, we put, instead of having one good bar chart and then another line chart or something in the next slide, we'll put 5 or 6 charts in one slide with lots of text to explain it. And like, well, what is that? Rather than just, telling a story and going step by step through something. If a presentation is warranted, usually, most cases, it would be better to not have a presentation than just have a handout around a table with 10 people. But if it's a big thing like a keynote, that's a different thing. But the problem is still in companies, there'll be, say, 10 people in a meeting or 20 people, and it'll be a presentation with a lot of slides, and that just doesn't seem like the appropriate place. We could just have a discussion, right? Or make a video. This is the more modern thing. Make a video, a proper presentation, a few days before or whatever, and then have people watch that, and then come prepared to discuss at the meeting, where the person can review or get to the whiteboard and write some things down. But just listening to a TED talk inside the company, a TED-like talk inside the company, is like, is this a good use of time? You should have made a video of that, and then I can watch that, and then we can talk about it. Because we want to, anytime you just have people listening it's not a really good use of a meeting. I think there should be discussion.
I believe that the value of having people gathering together, it comes from the dialogue, right? It's a discussion. At the end of the day, I believe a successful presentation is when the presenter is able to share some food for thought, some ideas, take people from a story, maybe inspire them, and then trigger a discussion that might lead to a decision making, taking a strategic decision, leading the business, and therefore we use data to validate our assumptions and our proposals. But at the end of the day, I believe a presentation should be the opportunity to create a conversation with the audience.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. So when I hear people complaining about PowerPoint, so we're going to ban PowerPoint, it's not about the tool. It's just a way of thinking. It's a very old way. Well, it started, I guess, in the sort of 80s, very 80s way or 90s way of putting together a deck and then going to a meeting and going through the deck. It's just a really old-fashioned way of doing it. So a lot of companies did away with it, but it's not the fault of PowerPoint. So some companies will have something like make a one-page document and send that around, which forces you to be simple. And cram everything into one page maybe. But then we read it, you make your case, and then in the meeting we can discuss and review. And you might show a few key slides with some data on it. But basically it's just something for discussion, because often in presentations there's no discussion. There's the data. It's like, blah, 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 blah. Even if it's a great visual, even if, that's a perfect, data visualization. But we should talk about more what it means, and is it accurate, is it true, and is it, there it goes. My students do that all the time, like, whoa, there you just went, that was a lot of data there, and you just went right by that.
I think that very often this happens because first of all, it's easier because doing what we are talking about here, coming to a presentation prepared, takes you to spend time and get really prepared, to study before. One of the things that I see very often, presenters come to presentation, they are not really prepared. So rehearsing, I think, we don't need to learn the presentation by heart, in my opinion, but just knowing where you want to start, what is your goal. I like you say, you always have to know what is your point and why it should care. I think there is a Japanese word for that.
The dakaranani. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, that is Japanese language. Dakaranani, it's not very polite language. It just means so what. So you might, actually, I don't even really hear that in general conversation. But anyway, it's like, what? Like, what does that mean, or what do you mean? So it's just something. When I was learning Japanese, I remember that phrase. So I always ask myself, so what? What is it? Everything you put, just like in filmmaking, right? You might have a beautiful scene, like, this took $1 million to produce and blah, 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 but it doesn't really push the story forward, so you got to cut it. So kind of same idea.
At the end of the day, in the presentation, I believe we are, the moment we start talking, we already own our audience their time. At the end of the day, we need their time, we need their attention, which basically are two of the scarcest resources we have as humankind. And I believe that also, the commitment that we ask every time we start the presentation is huge to people. We really need their focus, their time. And by the way, nobody's going to give back their time after the presentation.
It's really precious. The CEO, Phil, what's his last name? Sorry. Oh, it's late. That's my excuse. Anyway, Phil is the CEO, founder of this kind of interesting software for online presentations. You've heard of it, right? MMH. Well,
Okay.
Anyway, he did his presentation recently where he talks about the future of presenting. It's like a pyramid. So, of course, the most precious, as you just said, is the people's time. So when we're face to face in a room, that is really precious, and that's really not a good time to have those, say, 20 people just listening to someone talk, right? We should have a discussion. And then there's live Zoom meetings. But even then, again, why are people just like 20 screens or 20 videos rather, and people are just Their lips aren't moving. One person his lips are moving. That's not really a good use. That could have been a video. So he showed in the pyramid like 60% of presentations in the future or now should be, online. And of course you could use or OBS. Makes it easy. You could use OBS or Zoom or whatever, but make really good presentations, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, and just upload them to this wherever in your company or watch that presentation. But then when we come together, that is precious. So he used Lord of the Rings. Remember, precious, my precious. Lord of the Rings. You have to be kind of a nerd. I don't know if you watch it.
Gollum.
I love that. But face to face is really precious, and we just cannot waste people's time. I mean, work life is hard enough. So we should never be wasting it in meetings unless we're talking. I mean, if everyone's talking and contributing, that's much more interesting than just listening to someone.
What do you think then is the role of a presentation nowadays?
Yeah, I think it's really changing. So I like this thing that Phil said. I think there's going to be a lot more skill necessary for all of us, or all of us won't do it, but you can set yourself apart. Obviously, if you're a good presenter, in the way you can produce good visuals and stand and deliver, of course, with visuals, but also the ability to do that online and to hold people's attention in online type of meetings and have enough sophistication to get a good microphone and a good camera and all that kind of stuff. But also a little bit of filmmaking. You don't have to be a great, George Lucas or something, but to just know the basics of how to use, I mean, even just your smart, this is a great camera, even an old iPhone 11 or whatever this is, but it's amazing compared to what our parents had and grandparents, or my grandparents had an 8mm, but that they didn't make movies with that. We should learn how to make short, good movies about whatever it is. I mean, we could be in architecture or city planning or something. We could make important videos for internal use or external, but the ability to make those at a pretty high level, I think that's going to be an important skill. We'll always have, of course, professional filmmakers. That's not going away, but I think the general skill level of everyone should go up a little bit, just like with presentations.
I think that it doesn't take too much to really step up the quality of the delivery, especially when we deliver online. As you said, everybody likely has a smartphone, whether that is an iPhone or whatever other smartphone. When you get the back camera, it's amazing. You have 3 apps that can convert that camera into a webcam, and you can use it. There is plenty, and I always talk about them.
Oh yeah, even this is better than the web camera, which is which I'm not using, but which is awful, which is just garbage. It's so bad if I switch to that. I mean, this is bad enough because I just can't. I don't know. You look great. I mean, your skin is all soft, and the lighting. You got that nice diffused lighting from the window.
It is the window. The window is magic, but it's also the place. I mean, on an island where the daylight is just beautiful.
Wait, where are you? Are you in Italy now?
I'm not in Italy right now. I'm in a Spanish island called Fuerteventura. It's Canary Islands. It's close to Africa.
Well, is this vacation or this is where you work?
Well, I used to work from here for a good part of the year because I'm passionate about kite surfing.
You mean the kind that takes you up where you can really go?
It's where you have the kite and you have the board, and the kite brings you with the wind.
But I've seen some people go up. It seems like 50 meters or so. I mean,
well, I wish I could jump so high.
Wow, that's great. So you are really embracing then what the company is always talking about, because they don't talk about their software so much. They talk about this evolution or this revolution, I guess, of working from home. That's not, or working from wherever remote working. That we don't have to come to some things. Obviously, if you're a doctor, although even doctors are performing surgery. A friend of mine is one of the leaders in that. They're performing surgery from different countries live, because there's these things that you can do now. But anyway, a lot of work is going to be remote. Is going to continue to be remote. I mean, why not? I don't think we'll call it remote working. Some people will be in the office and other people will be in Spain. So and that's okay.
Look, I believe the biggest challenge is company culture. how, and this is one of the challenges I think we will have to face with this revolution of work, because one thing is spending time with your colleagues, soft time, like coffee break, having lunch with them, and you shift to the point in which your time for the others, for colleagues, is just a slot on your calendar. You connect and then you disconnect and you move to the next meeting. And then how do you build a feel of belonging, right? How do you build a company culture? And I think in this sense, this will be a big challenge, especially for those who are joining maybe a company now and they've never met their colleagues, right? I don't know. This is mostly a challenge, I think, for our students. I'm also teaching at college. This is one of the parts that I love at university. I really love sharing what I didn't have with my students, and this is something we often talk about. What is it going to be afterwards, right?
I think we're still in the middle of it, and just COVID sort of pushed us, but it's not going back to the way before COVID, but we're still in a transition. And of course, people will resist it. People my age are going to resist it, and bosses. I mean, even Elon Musk, whatever. But so a lot of people are resisting it. I don't know. Obviously, this works for a lot of things, but I do like it. I like both, because like with my class now, so let's say I have a class meets twice a week. I'm fine with once a week we can be online and once a week we can be in person. Definitely being in person. And then we kind of know each other. We know how tall. Oh, you're 180 centimeters. Okay. We have this kind of a better feel for things. So we need both of those things. But they're very different, and presenting online is very different than doing it, in the classroom.
How different do you find it is?
Well, I mean, I think it's, the chat, and again, there's a cultural difference because, we're in Japan. And in some ways it's better because, for example, now we don't wear masks online, but in the classroom, people are wearing masks. So we all instantly already have better communication. But that old John Medina thing about the 10-minute rule where you have to change things every 10 minutes. I think it's more like every 2 minutes or 1 minute. So just a lot of variety. So it's, when I was using, I really, I'm more like a TV studio, but you have to get people involved. You can do questions, you could, do quizzes, show a short video, ask questions of people. The thing is, in the classroom, even if I have 20 students, it's hard to remember their names, at least for me. But the great thing about online is their names are all right there. So I actually have better interaction. And then I carry that into the classroom because now I've kind of remembered their names. I associate the face with that. There's the Romaji, there's the name Romaji, sorry. The English letters, are under their face. So now that's actually an advantage. So anyway, my too long answer is, you can edit this. The long answer is, just even more engagement. More moving around, which the worst teachers never adopted to. They still drone on for an hour lecturing and going through bulleted slides and then say at the end, any questions? I mean, students have turned their cameras off and I don't even know if they're there. And again, there's probably, if you're gonna just lecture, there's no reason to do that live. Make a video of that. It's not a great video and no one wants to watch it probably, but at least they could watch it on their own time and skip through things and speed it up or whatever. So I just think in the classroom, you got to be doing stuff, having a discussion. And
look, I agree. I definitely agree with you. I personally believe that very often I get this question, what do you think? Is it better online? Is it better in presence? I think both modes, they have pros and cons. I wouldn't say that one is absolutely better than the other. Of course, when you're live, when you're in presence more than live, then you have a different connection with people, 100%. But online, as you said, the thing of the names is something that while giving trainings, it's something that I appreciate a lot. But also the fact that, for example, people can record a session I think it's precious to my trainees. This is something that I often receive. Often people tell me, Maurizio, we love the fact that we can record the meeting and then we can rewatch it, stop it. And therefore, this is probably taking us to your conclusion, which would help to have a video as a prep material. So that people can get ready and then reserve the interaction, reserve the live session to the interaction mostly. Probably this is...
Yeah, did you see the Apple keynote? I didn't watch all of it, but I used to years ago, even before I worked at Apple. I was always interested in their keynotes. And this time, from what and I haven't gone back, but it looked like even live, a lot of it was actually, it was all recorded, but it was very smooth. It was broadcast live, but everything was, I don't know if everything, but a lot of it was pre-recorded, but in a very smooth way, not in the old way. It's like, okay, we got John in Cairo. Okay, ready, go. You know, it's not like that. It was so smooth. If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even know that it was not live. But the old way of bringing someone on stage, you know, you knew that it was live.
Yep.
I don't know. I think this is getting into the idea that if you're just going to do if you're going to do a presentation, you know, a high quality one, like, you know, TED style, a good one, good content, good visuals, why not just record that? You could even do that in a live presentation. Like, I'm live now, and then click, I keep going, but that's recorded. Or I'm going to play this and I'll be back in 10 minutes. But yeah, I just think that's the world of the future. As much as you can pre-record it for people to watch whenever they can. And often we like watching it on the train, not while driving, but a lot of countries, you know, well, even New York City, or, you know, on the subway, you know, that's a time to consume content.
Yes.
I watched your video and I have some questions. Now let's discuss.
Yes. Well, I would say it's time not to be wasted. Therefore, I immediately need to do. I think we're also losing the beauty of spending some time doing nothing. Because every time we feel like we're wasting time, we need to connect immediately and do something, whether this is scrolling socials or emails.
Yeah, this is a whole other discussion, so I'm not sure the purpose of this video now, but I wonder if like in not 10 years, maybe 20 years or something, people will go like social media. Like, remember when like our parents were into social media? It's like, God, what a waste of time that was. Because I'm looking at things like Instagram. My wife and everyone says, you know, get on Instagram. You got to do Instagram. Instagram's all about this immediate short. It's just like doing stuff, like doing stupid pet tricks. It's like, do stuff to keep people engaged, which has nothing to do with I'm not a celebrity. I mean, if you're The Rock, or, you know, if you're a celebrity, then that's cool. I want to see your, you know, whatever you do. Just Sylvester Stallone can just go shopping. Okay, that's cool. But the rest of us aren't celebrities. We should be producing something. So YouTube, it seems viable to me. You know, you can really create something, even if they're short videos, but you've really created and curated something. Anyway, I just think, I think people in the future are going to think, oh yeah, grandparents with that social constant stuff and how they were addicted to their screens. And
yeah, it
doesn't seem sustainable. Are we going to do this for the rest of our lives? Are we going to keep doing this?
Well, the way our parents reacted about social media is the way probably we do react when we hear about metaverse, right? So here we go. That is the reaction I was expecting.
The metaverse, so-called, might be a great thing, but the way they presented it was awful. It was beyond awful. They should have got Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks to do it rather than the nerdiest people in the world to like just no. I do not want to be in that room.
I even saw some presentations delivered virtually, which is I mean, why?
I mean, again, they have done the fundamental thing. It's fundamental is, you know, why. I mean, and they might have a good reason, but the presentation didn't answer that.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you can do something. Remember, like Google Glasses, was it Google that had the glasses? Like that was it with the video glasses, and everyone kept getting beat up who was wearing them. Yeah. And just because you can do it doesn't mean it's a good idea.
No, exactly. And I think this should be a quote for presentations, generally speaking. Whenever in PowerPoint, just because you can do something, this doesn't mean you should do this.
Yeah, including the presentation itself. You might be a great presenter and a presentation master, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. This isn't the time for a presentation.
Yeah, could be the title for your next book. I mean, you said I'm not a celebrity. I think you are a celebrity.
Yeah. Well, everyone's a celebrity then.
Oh, come on. I think Presentation Zen is one of the most inspiring books in our domain. What do you think? What do you think made it so successful?
Well, it was timing. This was back. I started the blog, the website, and God, what was it? 2005, something like that, 2006. And TED was just getting started with online. They had everything, of course. They never put it online, and then it just hit a nerve. I mean, I think I touched on what everyone was thinking, that this is kind of ridiculous. And I'd always been interested in presentation. I'm not a very flashy, I didn't want to be on TV or anything, so I wasn't like that kind of person. Otherwise, I would have majored in that. I majored in philosophy, not in communications. But I had an interest in design, and I did present in multimedia stuff in high school, so I had an interest in that. And the TV news, I always liked TV news, just the way they presented the weather and all of that. And I always thought that PowerPoint slides should be like that. And then when I saw Apple, I think it was just after Steve Jobs came back, so 97, and he was presenting in a very visual way. This is the way it should be. But in the company, everything was just lines of text and stick figures. Yeah, in Sumitomo at my company. But I didn't present that way. But I got, my first Mac, well, the first notebook. I don't know what it was, something in the 90s. And then could try to, use visuals, use photos. Wow, what a concept. I remember putting a photo and a big text, and people are like, wow. And they would say what software is that? And it's PowerPoint. PowerPoint can do that? It was probably 480p picture or something with some text and then a video, which is probably 240p video little thing. I remember it was Mission Impossible trailer, Mission Impossible 2 or something. I don't know.
Okay, which is a movie that I love.
Yeah, and people are like, whoa. It was kind of like that in those days. You could just if you just did something that was a little bit different.
Yeah, I saw your presentations. I love the way you make them effective, but you find the simplicity behind, and you find a simple way to communicate something that is always powerful. Therefore, you really make the message stick. One of the things that company people always tell me is, "Yeah, Maurizio, but I mean, I'm not Steve Jobs. I have to communicate data, and I have plenty of bullets. I have plenty of messages."
Yeah. Well, that's nonsense. You don't need the bullets. I mean, Hans Rosling was a good example of someone with lots of data. So you can have lots of data. Business intelligence, visualization of data is a big business now. That's good stuff. We need that. And you should never apologize for data. I hear some people saying "Oh, sorry, I got some charts to go through." No, that's a great opportunity. Charts are wonderful if they're done in an honest way, and you try to help people see the reality. Again, I think honesty is very important because it's very easy to lie and deceive with data. But if you approach it honestly, that's just. I mean, the idea that they would say I have lots of data. Yeah, well. Is it necessary for this presentation, or how much could you cut? And if it's all necessary, well, then maybe you should write a book or put it in a document and give people that document, and then you could just highlight a few things at the whiteboard. Or, I mean, each case is different, but I know they're busy, but there's a lot of doctors. I hear from doctors all the time, medical professionals who are always presenting, and they're really interested. I think because doctors are kind of like Renaissance people. They're scientists, but also artists. It's sort of a merging of the, our doctors are kind of interesting.
Yeah,
because they're not. I mean, they are scientists, but not just hardcore in the lab scientists, but they have to deal with people. And they often have to teach. They have to teach their colleagues, their younger colleagues, and they have to present at conferences. And they know, they're smart people. They know this is a waste of time. If you're just going to go through this stuff, we should have a conversation and make it simple. Doesn't mean dumb it down. It's hard to be. It's hard to be simple. Get to the point. Show us the reality, and then let's have a discussion.
Yeah, and tell us why we should care.
Yes. Why should we care? And I think people are afraid to be simple because if you understand my idea, then that's scary because that means you might disagree. You might shoot me down. But if I just can, make it complicated and run through it, then at least I can get off the stage without people asking hard questions.
Yes, you get them confused with technical vocabulary. People don't really understand. They think this guy must be.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think this is not the way it goes. I think the way it goes is often, I can't understand anything. Those slides are too complicated. He's pointing back and forth with his laser pointer. I really can't follow this dot.
Yeah.
Where is it?
That's really a pet. I hate the word pet peeve, but I don't know another expression. But the pointer was not made for following bullet points. There might be a time for it, like if you want to show where the tumor is on the X-ray, it's like right there, and then turn it off. Don't keep. Otherwise, dogs and cats are going to start attacking your screen.
I think if you feel at any moment in time during a presentation, if you really feel you have to point something because people don't see what you want them to see, I think you should rethink the slide. Because I believe that while you're giving a presentation, all you have to focus is on people. Your focus should be people. We as presenters, I believe we stand for the others. We are successful if we're able to turn our spotlights onto them. If we stand for them, if we can make them change, evolve, then we are successful. But then and therefore we have to focus on them. All we have to do is click, and the next slide should take them through the journey with us. But we should always, each time, know where they're looking in a slide. And if we don't know, if we have to add some dots or other things, it's because the experience on the slide is probably not conceived the right way.
Right. We should anticipate that. Sometimes you might not. Right. You should anticipate it. So you could have that animation come in later, or a pointer or a highlighter. But there might be a case where something happened where someone has a question, and then you could. But you're right. Generally, I never use a laser pointer. I literally never use one. I have no need for that. But I could imagine. You could, I guess, point at something, but you would anticipate that. Or I often can just get. Even on big stages, I've been able to just walk over there and point at it.
I think, come on, it has to be reasonable. I'm not saying we shouldn't use it ever, but we shouldn't abuse these kind of tools because we should have a list of experience. Sometimes you have these, as you were saying, slides full of data, and you have these charts, and then you realize how powerful it is sometimes when you just gray everything column out, and then you highlight just one column, which is the number you want people to focus on. Sometimes just a little change of color, a little edit like that, a small edit like that, can make a huge difference.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So maybe the biggest proponent of laser pointers, I guess, are the people who make laser pointers. I think they're used in soccer stadiums more often these days.
Yeah, that is true as well.
Not good. Do not do that.
May I ask you a question? I'm very curious about how did you come up with this idea of Presentation Zen?
Well, I live in Japan, and so I've always been, I was interested in Japan before I moved to Japan. And I'd studied, just as a student, surface level, studying some of the Zen arts like tea ceremony and sumie, which is very similar. It's a kind of a brush painting with just different shades of black. It's black ink.
I see what you mean.
On white paper. And it's something that looks easy but it isn't. And ikebana, which is flower arrangement, it's of course beautiful to behold. Well, it's kind of like music in a way, like jazz. Jazz, you might think, oh, this is lovely, this is simple. But it's hard to be simple. It takes a lot of training. And even pop music. Recently, I've been again into the Beatles, watching a documentary, which I loved. And there's simple things, even like the song Imagine, which is not the Beatles, obviously, but that's very simple 4 chords that you've heard a million times. I think it's in C, I think. So it's C and an F and what the hell, G, A, no, E minor, whatever. It's very simple 4 chords. And yet it's put together beautifully, but I don't say it's simple in the sense, well, this is idiotic. It's so simple. It's not. Blues is 3 chords, but it's very deep in its simplicity. And anyway, a lot of the Zen arts are like that. It takes years and years and years of practice. It's not something you can just do. Same with the blues. You might think, oh, this seems simple. It's 3 chords, but yeah, okay. But there's a big difference between you and B.B. King. So it takes years to learn how to master those 3 chords and to learn how to use space and silence and tone and all these things. So it looks easy, but it isn't easy. But it takes years and years of study and practice to become that kind of, to make it look easy. Just like the Beatles with pop music, what people forget is for like 2 years they were in Germany just hashing it out like 8 hours a day in these clubs in Hamburg, right? And then through that hard work, wow, now we got it to where we don't even have to think about it. And a lot of arts are like that. You study and you study and you think about it, and then after a while you don't have to think about it, you can just do it. But you had to practice like crazy to get to that.
And I think I can see the connection that you found between these and presentations and the need for simplicity. Though I have a feeling that sometimes everybody is called to make effective presentations always in less time, because we need people to make better presentations, but we need them to make them in less time. They never have enough time. So there is this, finding this sweet spot is not easy at all. Yeah, please go.
Yeah, no, that is the key word. The key word is, you don't ask how many slides do I need or something like that. It's how much time do I have and when is it? If they say it's in 2 weeks and it's really important for whatever, okay, I'm going to put a lot of effort into this and this is going to be amazing. But if you say it's tomorrow, then I have to say, okay, should I use slides? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just use a whiteboard or a handout. But let's say, okay, I am going to use a multimedia. We have this beautiful screen and there's 300 people coming. So it's going to, I'm on stage, but I only have tonight to prepare it. So I'll just say, I'm going to make my own limitation. And so I'll just say, well, I don't need a number of slides, but I'll just say because I do everything on paper first. So I just write, well, what is my key point? What am I going to do? I get it on paper. Okay. And then it might be 10 slides or 20 slides. But the key thing is I know I have 3 minutes. So, and I can work that out. So that's the key thing is, when is it? And how much time do I have to prepare? And how long do I have to speak? And why am I speaking? That's it.
You can go without slides, but you cannot go without the story.
Exactly. I have to have a point. It can't go without preparation. Some people can. Some people say they can. Some people, I guess, are good at winging it. I'm not. I did Toastmasters when I was younger too, and it always made me nervous because they'd have these pop things. And I just, maybe it's not as bad. I feel it's awful. People never know that you're as nervous as you think you are if you just slow down. But that's good training, by the way.
I think that was my point. I think everybody's called to do that nowadays, and it has a strong impact on your personal branding, the way you are perceived by the others, the impact you have on business. But at the end of the day, everybody's making presentation, but it's not everybody's job. It's a skill. That it's not just a side skill. It takes time to simplify, to get to a presentation that really works. I heard this thing that when you have like 3 minutes and you have to get to the point, there are 3 things you have to remember, which are what, so what, now what.
Yeah, I like that. Sure. and get to the point. And it's true with YouTube videos too. That's why I want to really have a go at YouTube, and I would do it with no introduction. I hate, since I'm in the education space, I hate the title is like how to do whatever, how to do ABC. Okay, that's what I want to see. And it's like, hey guys, what's happening? And then it goes on. And then there's like a 10-second intro with a really nicely produced, oh wait, I don't need that either. And then it's back, okay, let me tell you why ABC. ABC is really important to, oh God. That drives me nuts. I lose my Zen completely. And I love the guys, and I see these people getting praise. I look in the comments when someone just gets right to the thing. It's like, whatever. I'm going to tell you whatever. I'm going to tell you how to put this thing into your iPhone. All right. Thanks for coming, guys. So here it is. And just, oh, wow, he's getting right to the point. That's great. Thank you.
And this is very interesting. But by the way, I think there is one thing that we were forgetting, which is don't forget to hit the bell and follow me, or don't forget to
I never.
give me the
That's the other thing I'm going to do. I'm vowed to become a successful YouTuber, but I'm never going to say that. I've never said that in any of my videos. I do put a thing at the end, but I hate that because it's like meeting someone at a party and just like, right away, here's my card, which we kind of do in Japan anyway. But I hate it. I hate that thing at the parties. We call these Meishi exchange. Meishi means a business card. And the Meishi exchange, you go to this party and you just give your business card to people. But it's sort of weird to me. But anyway, imagine in real life, it's like, hey, I'm Garr. And you know what? Don't forget to like. Could you go to my website right now? Could you like me? And subscribe to my newsletter. And like, get out of here. That's so rude.
If I want, I do that.
Yeah. I don't know.
This is, I think this is a very interesting point because, on one side, you have storytellers who tell you that you have to start with the context, and you have to introduce a conflict, and therefore you have to talk about the problem, and then you have to introduce a solution. And it is only between the problem and the solution that you can raise tension and therefore create attention. But then you have other principles like pyramid principle or whatever it is called, and they tell you, go straight to the point. And so which one is the right way?
Yeah. No, I think, anyway, get to the point as straight as you can. So I like to start with a problem or, some context, just like in movie making. But you need to impact. Movies are like, I watch so many movies with my son all the time. We have a home theater downstairs since they were baby. I mean, we built this house, so I've designed because I think my kids are either going to be, I've either ruined them or they're going to be filmmakers because we watch a lot of movies. But, even in a movie, you've got a 2-hour movie, boom, you got to start with something that brings them in. But there's also exposition, there's context also in the beginning. I mean, otherwise it doesn't mean anything. So what's the problem? You need to set the stage for the problem. So in our world of business, we have to get, right away, we got to get to the problem. But you also, I don't mean start with a joke, but you need something impactful. It could be data, like you see this number, or tell a story. I remember this great presentation. I don't know if it's online anymore. It was a safety presentation about the importance of like not having junk around the helicopter pad on an oil platform. Oil platforms in the ocean, right?
Yep.
And you can't have like buckets or anything around the platform, but it happens sometimes. And he told a story of this happened. A helicopter landed and this bucket went flying from the what do they call it? Wake? Anyway, the air from the rotors. Anyway, it killed this guy. He told the story, but he told it in a really dramatic but sincere way of how this guy, let's say his name is Steve, and he lost he died. So his children, his children lost their father, all because someone didn't follow the safety procedures to move this bucket. Now he said it in a way that it wasn't like that. It wasn't accusatory, or it wasn't graphic in a way that was over the top. It was really done in a great way, but it was a presentation about safety. He could have just said, follow these procedures because if you don't, someone will get killed. He actually told a story of someone who did get killed. And I saw a poster once, or a sign actually in Hawaii that showed the newspaper headlines of people who were killed. This is more sort of, what's the word, graphic or to the heart. They said, stay away from this waterfall, right, when it's raining, because rocks might fall down.
Okay.
They say that, warning everywhere. But they also put newspaper copies from the past of where people died because they did it. And that seems really graphic, like, whoa, that got the point that it's not just a warning sign, but this is dramatic. So there's the story, there's human elements.
I think at the end of the day, it's we need to be very concrete, and I love this concept of simplicity and authenticity. There is also another concept that you use a lot in your book, which is authenticity.
Well, yeah, that word has been sort of bastardized because it's used so much by inauthentic people. But so now the word is like, there's such the social media and this whole internet, and then all the politics, which is insane. It was insane in Italy, of course, a few decades ago, or a decade ago, whenever it was. So there's just so much disingenuous. What's the word in English? Disingenuous? Is that what's the word for people who are not authentic? And they're not genuine. What's it? God,
Genuine,
I'm sorry.
right?
I'm really
Genuine or
sleepy.
ingenuine. I don't know if you can say that. I don't know.
Disingenuous is the word, but I was trying to think of it. Anyway,
Okay.
people who are, they're selling something. There's a lot of salespeople, and selling is good. Of course, there's nothing wrong with being a salesperson, but they're selling nonsense. They're selling snake. There's a lot of snake oil
Yeah.
salesmen out there, and women in politics and in whatever. You name the space, and so and people who preach authenticity. You got to be authentic when you're out there ripping people off. So, but I know. But anyway, we need a better word maybe than authentic. But I do, which means to be your. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. That's one of the hallmarks of, I guess, authenticity is that you shouldn't be too polished. It's okay to be. You don't have to be like a CNN news anchor or a BBC news anchor. That doesn't feel real.
But you should be naked in front of your audience, right?
Naked,
Naked
yes,
present, right?
naked, but real. I mean, that doesn't mean, yes, you should try to get rid of the disfluencies and, so yes, there are things you need to work on, of course, but people will forgive a lot of things so long as you're really trying. But so sometimes slides would take us away from that because I don't know who you are because you're just talking to slides, or you're kind of being motivated and pushed along through these slides rather than just being naked. And we've got to come up with a better word than authentic. But
there was this amazing presentation in which I remember there was this VP of marketing, whatever. She needed to give a presentation to young grads. It was this audience of 400 young grads, and once a month, leaders were going to inspire them with these pitches, and everybody was going there and telling them how they succeeded, about their career, and how they, and all these pitches were all the same. They were not inspiring at all. They're all stories of success, but yes. So I was contracted to support this person to deliver the job, and what we came up with was the idea of doing exactly the opposite. We did a presentation that was called Utterly Beautiful or Utterly Beauty, something like that. So we made a presentation around 10 points, the 10 biggest failures in her career, and the audience reacted in such a way that was so excited about it because at the end of the day, it was authentic. It was true. She was not just telling, yes, I've been successful here, I've been successful there. No, this is where I failed. Putting work before family. That was the biggest mistake. Don't do that, guys. These kind of things.
Yeah. No, you said something I totally agree. You actually, you could write a book about this. I think I forget the name of the organization. It's in New York City, a storytelling, I forget what it's called, but it's a storytelling organization. It's,
Okay.
a nonprofit. And, but they had said that. There's a great quote. I have it on my website someplace. But it's this: the people don't care about your successes. People care about your failures. And of course, there might be a happy ending or some twist to that. But and it should be authentic failures, not the guy who grew up in a rich family, but then talks about, I grew up in the streets. Like, no, you didn't. So if you have a real authentic origin story, that's great. But yeah, a general principle is to remember people don't care about your failures or your successes. They care about your failures.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, whatever it is, whether it is business or it is a presentation, I think the keyword is trust. So you can sell, you can be sneaky, you can sell things that people don't really need because you make a good presentation. But at the end of the day, this is short term. Then people are not stupid. So
yeah, I'm amazed. I think you can see through nonsense or a charlatan or a con man, but I'm just amazed around the world that I don't know what percent, but a good 30-40% of people, smart people, good people. Well, often they're smart. Even, brilliant Ivy League graduates will fall for cults, and go down rabbit holes into weird conspiracies that are demonstrative. There's a word I can't speak today, that are clearly not true. I don't know. It's a good 40% or so. I don't know what it is. Humans, I know we are pattern-seeking animals, and we're easily fooled. I think it was Richard Feynman, the famous physicist, who said something about, the easiest person to fool is yourself. because as scientists, they need to be really like, is it true? That's why you have, peer reviewed, and I did it, and I think the data is correct, but what do you think? Because it's very easy to fool yourself. Even though as a scientist, you try, look, I got to keep emotion out of this, but it's hard. So I guess that's why a good percentage of us are fooled by, slick presenters. So
I definitely agree with you. I mean, plus add the fact that we get distracted so fast and that we don't pay attention to many details. We just, I think there is a beautiful quote. It was, I don't remember who was saying that, but we see what we expect to see. We ignore the rest.
That's true. And also, we just repeat things. I was thinking today, I don't know if this fact is true. This is not an important fact, but I was in a classroom and I said, "Oh, by the way, did you know?" Because this woman is from she's like a quarter Scot or something. So I was saying that, and she's interested in Vikings. Didn't Vikings come to Scotland? Something like that. And I said, "Oh, by the way, did you know that like red cats? Red cats. I think they came from Norway." I think I think Vikings brought red cats. If you see red cats, and I said that like I was really smart, and that's a fact. I just like heard that on the internet. I mean, I think there was like in Reddit, there was like a headline or something. I don't know if that's true, but I'm assuming it is. That's pretty silly of me to. I mean, that doesn't matter. It's not important. But I think a lot of us do that for really important things.
Yeah.
Medical information, diet information. Like, is that really true? Well, this study said, Harvard study said, well, I doubt it's from Harvard, but even if it was, so what? Then you read it and it was like, no, the guy like went to summer school in Harvard who wrote the article.
For 24 hours.
Yeah, I went to Harvard. I was there a whole afternoon.
Yeah, I was there all the afternoon. I got a certificate. I would put it on my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's going to be the title of your YouTube channel?
Well, it's just Presentation Zen.
Wow.
It's up there. I mean, if you put Presentation Zen, you'll see. I mean, I have my personal channel, is Garr Reynolds, and then there's, I think it's called Presentation Zen Video. I named it wrong. I got to just name it, because, it's YouTube / it should just be Presentation Zen. I'll have to rename that. But I haven't been very serious about it because it takes, you have to have a plan to put up a video at least once a week. And I do have ideas. First off, just starting with what Presentation Zen is and what it isn't. And a lot of people misunderstand what it is. One I saw recently, someone made a video. They took an example of, I have a slide like bullet points. It has like 6 bullet points or 7 bullet points. Mm-hmm. And the slide says, "Don't do this." It's kind of, I'm being kind of funny. Right? So don't make slides like this. But the person said, this is Presentation Zen. This is how you do it. Keep your slides simple like this one, which is like an example of how not to do it. And the person made a whole video about, ooh, look at this. This is beautiful. Like, oh, man. So it's my fault. I didn't realize, because humans are very visual. So he just glanced at a page, have this big slide with, don't do this.
I get it. Yeah.
I get that is, and because we're so visual, that must have popped out. Even though he didn't read it. If he read it, it would have said, "Don't do this.
Don't do this." Yeah, but then, he got it as a best practice.
Yeah. Oh, look how simple this is. Only 7 lines of text, only 7 words per line. No, that's Presentation Zen. That's the opposite of it. It's sort of like, drinking too much is good for you. No, it's not good for you. So it's the opposite of that.
Yeah, you could make tests. But I love one thing you said. You said I must, it's my fault. I must have imagined that. And this is something I often tend to do. Every time I make some slides and for some reason they do not work the way they should, and maybe I'm convinced they are perfect, even though it's my job. But the first thing I always think is, okay, if they reacted this way, there must be something wrong.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's just like in comedy. I mean, I've never been a comedian, but I used to study. I like comedians, and they work out jokes in smaller venues sometimes, even famous guys. If it doesn't work, they might try it 5 or 6 days. It's not working, and you think it's the funniest joke. I think Seinfeld had a movie about this. He thinks this joke. I got this joke, and it's so funny. I just love it. It is not working. No one gets it. Leave it alone.
Yeah,
it's not their fault.
It is not, and I think we should, as always, it's about standing for the others. This is, I think, all about presentations, and I love it because it's about people.